Well, it is good to be in the house of the Lord this morning. We've been studying out of the book of Exodus. We've been studying the life of Moses. All right, and we're using a Sunday school quarterly, and we're on lesson number 3. Moses and Aaron confront Pharaoh. Okay, our text is going to come out of Exodus chapter 5, and we left off last week at verse 5. Okay, so we're going to begin reading
Exodus
verse
5, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It says, "And Pharaoh said, Behold, the people of the land are now many, and you make them rest from their burdens. And Pharaoh commanded the same day the taskmasters of the people and their officers, saying, You shall no more give the people straw to make brick, as heretofore. Let them go gather straw for themselves. And the tally of bricks which they did make heretofore you shall lay on them. You shall not diminish aught thereof. For they be idle thereof, and they cry, saying, Let us go and sacrifice to our God. Let their more work be laid on the men, that they may labor therein, and let them not regard vain words." Okay, I'm going to back up just a little bit. Here we have Pharaoh. The people had asked to go to the wilderness to sacrifice to the Lord. And Pharaoh told them that no, y'all can't go sacrifice to your Lord. You have to make bricks. But what they did, they stopped them from giving them straw to make the bricks. Now, in verse, let me see, where is it at? In verse 6, it mentions the officers. It says taskmasters and officers. The taskmasters were Egyptians, but the officers were not Egyptians. The officers were Hebrew people, and the word means in Hebrew is shatar. The word shatar, its root word means to write. So what these men were scribes, and they also probably kept up with materials. You know, anybody that's ever built a structure, some of us are plumbers, electricians, and I know carpenters, and cabinet makers. You have to have material, and you have to keep up with that material. So they use these officers to basically line the people out and line their work out. Now, they were asked to make the same production with no additional help. Now, one of the things that they wanted to do was to seek and sacrifice to God. Once you decide to give your life to God, what happens? What happens? Attacks. That's what I'm getting at. Opposition. The first thing that happens when you decide to sacrifice, make a sacrifice to the Lord, and to worship Him, the first thing you're going to get is an attack of the enemy. Sometimes it's your boss at work. And these people had a very hard taskmasters laying heavy burdens on them. Here comes trouble. That's what I wrote down. Here comes trouble. It will either draw you closer to God or to push you farther away.
Amen.
Right? So in our trials and in our troubles, we should draw closer to God and not be driven farther away. It only gets worse when you go farther away from God.
Right.
You know? Because you have His help in the midst of trouble. You have His help. But if you decide to go the opposite direction, you don't have His help. It's there. It's available. But you're refusing it by walking away. Okay. And he also, in verse 9, I want to point out, he also wanted to make it hard on them so that they will not hear Aaron and Moses, the vain words of Aaron and Moses. And basically that word vain, I have that word here, I looked it up, it's shigar, S-H-E-G-E-R, and it means an untruth and lies. They were saying, Moses and Aaron are lying to the people, just go make them do the work. Now, let's go to verse 10. And the taskmasters of the people went out, and their officers, and they spoke to the people, saying, Thus saith Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Go you get your straw where you can find it, Yet not aught of your work shall be diminished. So the people were scattered abroad throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble instead of straw. Now, this is interesting. The taskmasters went out, and their officers, the officers went and spoke and said, Pharaoh said this. Yep. Have you ever worked with people and they say, well, the boss said this?
Yes.
Have you heard that?
Yes.
And then if you go to the boss, maybe he didn't say that.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? But this is how the situation is. The taskmasters and the officers going, well, Pharaoh said, y'all have to go do this, you know? And then they said, you know, but you're going to have to do it without any materials. You're going to have to go get your own materials. Now, it's an interesting thing, though. Every single time Pharaoh decides to do something, God turns it around for his own glory.
That's right.
And his own good. Because he was wanting the people not to go worship, and he said the people are so many, and we're going to read more about that in a minute. There's so many of them, we got to get them under control here. Make them go back to work. They're lazy. Okay? But what happened when they took the straw away? They went out all over the region spreading Jews.
Yes, they did.
That's what they did.
That's what they're trying to prevent.
Spreading Jewish people, having babies.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It was the exact opposite effect that Pharaoh wanted. The exact opposite.
Yep.
You know, they went everywhere. Yes.
I don't know what were they building? You know?
Cheops.
Who?
It's a place called Cheops in Egypt. In fact, I have pictures of it. I don't have.
Okay, well, I heard and read this somewhere, and this was years ago, but it's a fact. A lot of it, when they find, you know, archaeology, they find something that historically related to the Bible. Well, it said that they found that you could see where the straw stopped.
Oh, wow.
And where they,
Oh, wow. I'd like to see
where they
that.
kept, they saw that you could tell the difference. You know, and they were still meeting their quota, but man, that just gave me chills. That, you know, that this is a fact.
Yep,
That's
these are
right.
facts.
This is not a fairy tale.
That's right. These are facts. But because Cheops is there, Ramses II, who was a living person in Egypt, we know that. And we also had known that there was records said that he used Asiatic slaves, which Asian meant Jews back then. Okay. Okay. So here we are. Here we are. The exact opposite happened. Now let me also. Have you ever had the boss tell you to hurry up and get the job done, even though you ain't got the parts?
Yep.
I'm an electrician. They go, well, you got to get it done now. You know, we have to meet our deadline. Well, go get me the part.
I was purchasing, I know.
This boss says, go get the part yourself. You know, wherever you can find it, go get it. No money. That's another one. I work in a very large place. We spend lots of money. I ask for millions of dollars, you know, for batteries and such. And a lot of times they want something done and they don't have the money to do it. You know, but they want it done anyhow.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the way that Pharaoh was. He wanted these people to get in line, get their work done, make it hard on them so they'll obey my words, okay, and not believe in Aaron. They were also trying to make Aaron and Moses unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep reading here. Let's see what else happens. Verse 13 says, and the taskmasters hurried them, saying, fulfill your works, your daily task, as when there was straw. And the officers of the children of Israel, which were Pharaoh's taskmasters, had set over them, were beaten and demanded, why have you not fulfilled your task in making brick both yesterday and today as heretofore? Then the officers of the children of Israel came and cried to Pharaoh, saying, let us go and do sacrifice to the Lord. See there, though, this is interesting. The taskmasters and the officers the day before were the ones, oh, you go and get your going, you know, and take care of this, make bricks. Well, when it didn't happen, the taskmasters went after the officers, the ones with the books that tell you how much straw, whatever, how many bricks you had made. That's the scribes of the pharaohs of the Hebrews, and they were beat. Okay, now we have something happening that's interesting, because it was only Moses and Aaron and the elders going to Pharaoh first. Now we have the officers going to Pharaoh saying, help! Help! This isn't fun, you know? So the supervisors were the ones that were punished. That's another thing. If you're a supervisor, I'm a supervisor. at work, and if my men do something wrong, guess what?
Yeah.
I've done something wrong.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Yep.
That's the way it is. That's the way it was back then.
Yep.
Okay? Now, they wanted to reinstate the sacrifice that was passed down from Abraham. Okay? Now, verse 16 says, there is no straw given unto the servants, thy servants. And they say to us, make bricks, and behold, thy servants are beaten. But the fault is in thine own people. Number one thing, never tell your boss it's his fault. What they were doing, that right there, is saying it's your people's fault. It's all your people's fault. You know? If I hadn't thought this was happening a long time ago, I would think these were Democrats and Republicans arguing with each other.
Oh, you heard this morning?
It's your fault. Okay. Verse 17 says, but he said, you are idle, therefore you say, let us go and do sacrifice to the Lord. Go therefore now and work, for there shall be no straw given you, yet you shall deliver the tally of bricks. And the officers of the children did see that they were in evil case. After that was said, you shall not diminish aught from your bricks of the daily task. And they met Moses and Aaron and stood in the way as they came forth from Pharaoh. Now I want to stop there. Verse 17 says, you're idle. Well, that word actually is rapha, which means you're lazy. Okay?
Your floho.
Lazy. Just put it in English.
Huh? Yeah, it's a good version there. That's what they say. You're lazy, go back to work, and then go back to work now, verse 18 says. Go back to work now and continue to make the tally of bricks that we told you to make. Now, it says here that the children of Israel